As you're doing this for the first time in a long time, you kind of run across things that you probably should have noticed at first, which I didn't. My shift linkage had fallen down to the opposite position. And there was no way of getting that back up unless you just took that bracket off right. That'll get you in there. You got to undo this bracket, pull the whole, did I say shift linkage? Throttle linkage. You have to pull the whole plate off there, pull the whole throttle linkage out, turn it around to where it's supposed to be and bolt it back up. That took 5 minutes. No big deal, but it's one of those things you probably need to watch when you're doing something like this. So what I'm working on right now is the fuel pump. So I have a fuel pump. I had put a brand new fuel pump in and it had only been in for a couple of startups and that's it. And it has the rubber hose coming from the pump all the way up to the carb. I did buy a steel hose and I am going to get that and put it on the pump before I put the water pump in. Now I did get a couple of kits. I got a new mounting plate, although I have two. I got a new one. A new mounting plate for the fuel pump, and I thought it came with all the gaskets, but in fact it doesn't. It comes with a mounting plate gasket, but it does not come with the fuel pump gasket. And I said to myself when I ordered that, I said, you know, it's always good to have a couple more sets laying around because you never know. And so I did. I listened to myself and I bought 2 more sets, fortunately, because I need to use one of the gaskets out of that set in order to put the fuel pump on. So let us get started with that now. I did buy a new fuel pump rod. That's what I'm going to call it. I don't know if that's the correct term or not, but it's the rod that actually is the fuel pump as the camshaft turns. And that looks like, this. And this I have 2 of, and so I compared the 2 that I have to the brand new one, and it is a like match. So we're going to put that in. And I'm going to prepare the gaskets right now. Maybe I'll turn you guys around a little bit so you can see. That should do it. So I'm going to prepare these gaskets for ultimately bolting on. Huh. Well, at least I thought I was. All right. Well, I've got things prepared. I've got the gasket on and the gasket sealer, and a little bit of grease on the end of the water pump. Got the bolts put together so that I can just grab them and put them in there and then wipe everything down once I'm done. So let's set you guys up on here again. That rod for the fuel pump is actually staying in place. I put a little dab of grease on either end of that. Just a little dab. A little dab will do you. And that will keep it from binding up on first start before the oil gets there. You know what I mean? It's kind of like assembly lube. So, if I remember correctly, putting it in at an angle and then bringing it up is the way to do it. Yeah, I can feel that tension on it. But I'd really like to get this bolt in there before I let anything go. And it's not going to be 1/2 inch. Shit. Let me see how far I can get this finger tight. I'm going to have to let it go. Darn it. My wrench was just out of reach. So what I'm going to do is take this out, double check the placement of the rod. Yep, it's all the way up. Double check that these will go in. You know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to loosen these guys up. Because those are not exactly in the right spot. There we go. That's probably the way you're supposed to do it. I got a little goop on the outside here, but if I get it before it dries, we'll be good. All right, so let's try this again. This is so much easier than when it's in the truck and all the fenders and everything are on. I'm going to put both these bolts through so I don't ruin my gasket, but that indeed is why I bought a couple more sets. All right, let's get that to stay somewhat in place. And double check the rod. Yeah, it's in the right spot. Put this down in first. Lift up because it's got tension on it. Now, this is about as much fun as I had when the fenders were on the truck. Now that I've got this stuff all over the place. Great. That's why this is not a how-to video. This is a how I do it video. And I might be doing it wrong. And you guys can help me out by letting me know an easier way if there is such a thing. I'm going to loosen those up just a little bit more. Maybe that was it. Maybe it was just a little bit off alignment. Let's check that rod. Yeah, it's still up there. Plenty of grease left. I'm not enjoying this. I don't know why I have such a hard time with fuel pumps. I don't know. Obviously something isn't going correctly. Don't move that little bit of grease down there to where it's hitting. Make sure we don't have any of the silicone inside the pump, because that wouldn't be good. Do this again. Now that should be in the right spot right there. I think it's going in there. Well, that's one finally. I don't think the ratchet's gonna reach in there. but we'll give it a try. There's just no. Let me get a shorter extension. Short extension. There's one. Not the one I was looking for, but this will work. I opened up the black RTV that I have. It is dry. Dry. And that's not working properly, so let me get my wrench back. Wow, that just took a lot more effort than I thought it would. Way too much. That should not have taken all that. But that's half the fun of working on hot rods is, you know, the next time you do it, it's going to be easier because you learn from your mistakes. My mistake is not getting a brand new tube of silicone, and what I do have, the nozzle's clogged, and even though I cleaned out the nozzle, it's just a little too thick to go through the tip of that nozzle and give me a good bead. The other one that I have in the tube, now that's all dried up, although it feels like in the middle and the bottom of it, it's fine. But, you know, I guess I could cut the tube in half and just smear it on with a screwdriver or something. What I did here is I used my fingers. I put a glove on and used my finger to smear it around both sides of both gaskets, because this is a bear to do when the fenders are on and you can't stand here looking at it like you do. And I think this is just going to be temporary anyway, because I'm going to relocate the fuel cell under the bed and run all new lines and everything, and probably put an electric fuel pump in the tank to push the fuel to the carburetor, because electric pumps push, they don't pull as well. Now it's a good time to tighten up those that I loosened. Click. Click. I'm just always afraid of over tightening stuff. And this one's a bit of a bear to get to. Let me see if I can get to it with the ratchet. Oh yeah, much better. Don't think it needs to be elbow popping tight, but it needs to be quite snug. Click. There we go. Click. Perfect. Now, I'm little brake clean on this rag and it'll erase our mistakes. I hope. And for the most part, yes. I don't want it to look like somebody put it together who didn't care. There we go. Looks like I smeared some on there last time. Oh yeah, it comes right off. Now then, this seal over here, or this nipple over here, I think I'm going to replace with the steel line that comes up like this. I'm going to dig that out of the box and see if it actually fits that, and we'll come back in just a minute. Well, it seems that I'm unable to locate my Teflon tape, so I'm going to just place that there for now. And the next thing we're going to work on is the water pump. I'm going to clean these up, use a little Scotch-Brite, clean up all the surface rust on there, and we'll come back once I've got the gaskets prepared and we're ready to bolt it all up. Next step is the water pump, and I've already put it in place. Basically, I put some silicone on either side of the gaskets, held the gaskets in place, put the first bolt in, and I'm using ARP bolts for the water pump. And what we're going to do is put a little bit of thread sealer on these threads. Don't need a whole lot. It's kind of hard to get the exact amount on there. Okay, that's going in there. And we'll do the next one. The reason we put the sealant on these is because some of these bolts go into the water jacket. And this is basically to keep it from leaking. And this one will go in here. Get it started by hand, and then come along with the ratchet. Snug it up. Now I'm going to have to hold this. This isn't working out real well. Let's just do it like this. You just need 3 hands. So yeah, I did paint the water pump. Gave it a nice little rebuild. And now we'll snug these down real good. Because the last thing we want this to do is leak. And these are ARP bolts. We're getting there. Fuel pump's on, water pump's on. Oil is in it. The metal fuel line is mocked up. We probably ought to pull the list down and see where we are with stuff. Now, this block is cast slightly different. But it's no big deal, I think. just has to do with the water flow, and I'm sure that they did it the way they did for a reason, and we'll just say that they've improved on things. How's that? So what I want to do now, before my silicone just dries up, is I want to get the water neck in and thermostat. And I'm having to work around, do a little workaround as far as getting that stuff on there. Now this one, this bolt, I'm not sure where it goes yet. This is the longer bolt, and if it went in there, I don't know. I know there's a bolt that goes on here, and I believe that's to hold on the alternator bracket, and these two are for the alternator bracket. This one's for the alternator bracket. Well, we'll see as we go along, won't we? I need to figure out where to put the oh, maybe this is for, oh, I know what this is for. This is for the power steering pump. But I'm probably going to have to order a different bracket or something, because this had air conditioning and I didn't have the brackets for a vehicle without air conditioning. So I might just have to order something. It's all right. Take a look and see what there is out there. I need to get that crank bolt out so that I can put the pulleys on. I just want to double check while I'm thinking of it. I just want to double check these 7/16 bolts. I thought I had tightened them up, but maybe not as tight as they should have been. In which case I should just double check the other ones as well, just to be sure. Huh. I'm going to say they weren't tight enough. And that one I know will take a ratchet. 9/16. Let's see, get you guys pointed in the right direction. Okay. Making sure they're both about the same. Snug. Okay. Remind me now, this is just mocked up, because I don't know exactly where it's going to be routed yet. I might end up cutting it off up here and running rubber hose to the carburetor. Not sure yet. Have to drop the carburetor back on and see where we are with that. So, next thing is, I'll get the thermostat and water neck put on, and then we'll come back. Thanks for watching, everybody. I do really appreciate it. Thank you very much.